Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. We are still in Bible study. We are still in the NIV and still in the book of Mark, still in chapter 14. But we are going to be wrapping it up. It is verses 53 through 72. Yeah, 72. This is why there's, so many videos. Is because Chapter 14 has 72 verses, which is really far too long for one video. Before the Sanhedrin, they took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests, elders, and teachers of the law came together. Peter followed him at a distance. So, loyal, for at least for the next few minutes. Right into the courtyard of the high priest. There he sat with the guards and warmed himself by the fire. Because remember, he didn't look like one of them, so he needs to be around the rough and tumble people who look like him, who might have a reason to be there. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for evidence against Jesus so they could put him to death. But they did not find any. Many testified falsely against him, but their statements did not agree. So they would have been dismissed. Because remember, the law, the Mosaic law, says you have to have a certain number of witnesses, and it can't just be one, or you can't prove anything. Then some stood up and gave this false testimony against him. We heard him say, "I will destroy this man-made temple in 3 days and build another not made by man." Okay. Yet even their testimony did not agree. Now, he did say he was going to do that, but he was talking about his body. Then the high priest stood up before them and asked Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent and gave no answer. They can't trick him into death if he doesn't say anything. Again, the high priest asked him, "Are you the Christ, or Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Because these were a bunch of, these things are false, so there's no need to say anything. "I am," said Jesus, because they finally asked him something worth asking. "And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the chief priest tore his clothes. "Why do we need any more witnesses?" he asked. The Jewish people in that time frame were very dramatic. If people were, somebody died or you were sad about something, you're supposed to rip your clothes, throw dirt on your head, maybe shave your beard or something very dramatic to let them know the depths of your very deep feelings. And it's just a welcome to the way they are. So, because it was actually in there. If you're in a state of that in the Old Testament, they tell you to tear your clothes and throw dirt on you. You're being ordered to be dramatic. So they just, they're in it. They're in it to win it. Because it's their culture, and that's what they were told to do. The high priest tore his clothes. "Why do we need any more witnesses?" he asked. "You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" They all condemned him as worthy of death. Because blasphemy for them, that was, you died. In the Old Testament, it's full of stories of these leaders who the reason God's with them till the moment they put themselves in equal to him, and then he tears them down. Even if you were looking at the Roman Empire, which ran for many years, they started down that myth and belief at the end that they could become gods. He doesn't care who you are. He'll take it down. And now their entire culture, the Roman culture, is entirely about him. Because that's where the Vatican is, right? Rome. Pope's supposed to be all about God and nothing else. First, their leaders wanted to be God. Now their leaders have to worship God. In exclusion to all theirs. He does what he does. Then some began to spit at him. They blindfolded him, struck him with their fists, and said, "Prophesy." And the guards took him and beat him. That's just, like, it makes me very sad. I don't like it. But then why would I? Because that's my Messiah. Peter disowns Jesus. Jesus is something else, being willing, knowing that he's going to go through that. And then, even after begging God to not make it happen, not getting the answer of no, it's not going to happen, still voluntarily gives himself up. All in. Verse 66. While Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. When she saw Peter warming himself, she looked at him closely. You are also with the Nazarene Jesus, she said. But he denied it. I don't know or understand what you're talking about, he said. And he went out into the entryway. B. Some early manuscripts, entryway, and the rooster crowed. But that was just one denial. When the servant girl saw him there, she said again to those standing around, this fellow is one of them. Again, he denied it. After a little while, those standing near Peter, surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean. He began to call down curses on himself, and he swore to them, I don't know this man you're talking about. Immediately, the rooster crowed the second time. And then some early manuscripts do not have a second time. I mean, Jesus wouldn't have predicted correctly that Peter was going to deny him if they were all happening before the rooster crowed. So, I think they have the rooster crowed maybe in the wrong place. Because Jesus didn't say a second time. But some, in this one, they do have him saying a second time. So at least they're trying to make it work. So Jesus is still predicting properly. Immediately the rooster crowed a second time. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows twice, you will disown me 3 times. And he broke down and wept. Because he realized what he did. Creating a separation between you and Jesus is not good. He went there out of loyalty, but understand that if he had been caught in that moment, if he had admitted that he was a follower of Jesus, he would have been up on that cross next to him. And then, we wouldn't end up with what is the equivalent of the first pope. Either way, Peter still would have been guarding the pearly gates, like he is, but he wouldn't have been able to establish the church. And likely most of us would not have been, like most of us who are Christian now would have had to become Jewish. Because it was really kind of Peter and Paul. P squared. That sort of made it so that we don't have to eat a Jewish diet, a traditional Jewish keeping kosher diet is what I mean by that. We don't have to get circumcised. We can be Gentiles and not Jewish people and be saved because of the communications of Peter and Paul, from Jesus to Peter and Paul. Some of that coming from visions, very specifically. Which I know is like, but I thought you can't be psychic. No. Psychics talk to whatever energy is in the room. People who are very in tune with Creator can have psychic abilities. It's just they're only focused on him. That's kind of the difference between a prophet and a psychic. The difference between Moses and Balaam. Balaam was doing the first sacrifices, the same stuff that Moses was doing as commanded by God. Moses kept his focus on God. Balaam started giving out blessings for money. And then therefore became Satan's hand puppets. A psychic. And no longer a prophet. And therefore died in a war. So that's a good thing to remember. That's a good thing to remember as we go about this. It's not having the ability to do something that's either good or bad. Those are just tools. It's how you use the tools and the intention in which you are using those tools that really matters. You are either in a state of peace and love and trying to seek Creator and your individual relationship with Him. Pardon me. Or you're looking for the loopholes and you're trying to find a way to get away with something. And that intention doesn't come from God. So, I encourage you to stay strong in your faith, my friends, and keep your attention on doing what is right.